After my husband's funeral, I went to my sister's son's first birthday party, and she announced, "My son is your husband's child, so, as inheritance, I'll take half of your $800,000 house." She even showed me his will. I said, "Oh, I see," and tried to hold back my laughter. Because my husband. Chapter 1. The Birthday Bombshell. The living room was decorated with blue balloons, a banner that read, "Happy First Birthday," and the smell of frosted cake. Children laughed, guests clinked glasses, and for a brief moment, I almost forgot the weight pressing down on me from my husband's recent funeral. I had come only to show face, to avoid giving my sister any ammunition to say I was withdrawing from family. But then, midway through the party, my sister clinked her glass with a drawing all eyes toward her. "I have an announcement," she declared, her lips curling into a smirk. "My son." She motioned proudly to the baby in the high chair. "Isn't just my son. He is also her late husband's child." The room froze. Whispers buzzed like hornets. She strutted toward me, holding up a folded paper. "And since he is the rightful heir, I will be taking half of your $800,000 house as inheritance. It's right here in his will." She shook the document as if it were her winning lottery ticket. Gasps spread through the guests. My mother-in-law looked horrified. My cousins covered their mouths in disbelief. My sister's smug smile widened, thinking she had crushed me publicly on the very day meant to celebrate her son. But instead of breaking down or screaming back, I simply said, "Oh, I see." And then I couldn't help it. I almost laughed. Because my husband had been 10 steps ahead of her all along. Chapter 2. The paper trick. My sister waved the will in the air like it was holy scripture, her smugness feeding off the whispers in the room. "See? It's all here," she sneered. "He left half the estate to his child. And that child is my son. Which means," she turned to me, her voice dripping with venom, "you'll be moving out soon enough. Don't worry, sis. We'll let you keep the guest bedroom." Laughter broke out from her in-laws. My fists clenched at my sides. But I kept my composure. "May I see it?" I asked coolly, extending my hand. She hesitated, but her arrogance outweighed her caution. With a dramatic flourish, she shoved the folded paper into my palm. The moment I unfolded it, I knew. My husband's signature was there. But so were watermarks that had nothing to do with legal documentation. No witness signature, no notarization. And worst of all, for her, it was printed on paper that bore the faint logo of her husband's office supply company. I looked up at her, my lips curving into the faintest smile. "You must really think I'm stupid." Her smirk faltered. "What are you talking about? It's all legal." But I didn't let her finish. "You forged this," I said quietly, but loud enough for the crowd to hear. "And you did it badly." Gasps spread again. My mother-in-law leaned forward, squinting at the page. "Wait, that's not even a valid format for a will." Panic flickered across my sister's face. She tried to snatch it back, but I held it firm. "Oh, don't worry," I said, slipping it into my purse. "I'll be keeping this. It'll go nicely with the real will. The one properly signed, sealed, and locked away. You didn't know about that, did you?" Her mouth opened, then snapped shut. For the first time all night, she looked small, because she had no idea that my husband had prepared for her betrayal long before he died. Chapter 3. The Real Will. The living room went silent, the air heavy with unease. My sister's smirk was gone, replaced by the twitch of someone cornered. "You're bluffing," she snapped, but her voice cracked. I leaned back in my chair, pulling out my phone. "Am I?" With a few taps, I opened the scanned PDF of the real will, the one my husband and I had filed through his lawyer years ago. I turned the screen so everyone could see. Gasps rippled across the room. The document was ironclad, notarized, signed, dated, witnessed. But it was the last page that made jaws drop. "In the event of my passing, all assets, including the $800,000 house, business shares, and accounts, shall go solely to my wife. No claim may be made by anyone else, including family by blood or marriage, unless my wife chooses otherwise." My mother leaned in, whispering. But what about her son?" I met my sister's eyes, then delivered the final blow. DNA test results are attached in the appendix. My husband had them done before he died. Every head turned toward her. The appendix was clear. Her son was not biologically tied to my late husband in any way. He had never even been in question. My sister's face drained of color. She sputtered, That's fake. You planted that. But it was too late. Her husband snatched the phone from my hand, scrolling with shaking fingers. When he looked up at her, his expression wasn't angry. It was disgusted. You lied to me. He hissed. You made me humiliate myself in front of everyone over a forged will. And a child who isn't even his. The room exploded into whispers and gasps. My sister's carefully crafted facade crumbled to pieces in front of the very people she wanted to impress. And I hadn't even pulled my biggest card yet. Chapter 4. The Hidden Clause. The room hadn't even recovered from the DNA revelation when I cleared my throat. There's something else you should all know, I said, scrolling to the last page of the will. A clause highlighted in bold letters glared back at them. Should any member of my family attempt to defraud, falsify documents, or make false claims regarding my estate, they will be permanently barred from all visitation rights, financial claims, or inheritance associated with my name. Evidence of such fraud shall automatically disqualify them, and their names will be provided to law enforcement. I let the words sink in before continuing. In other words, not only did my husband know this might happen, he prepared for it. Your little stunt tonight just disqualified you from ever being welcome here again. My sister's knees buckled. Her husband shoved the phone back toward her chest with shaking hands, his face red with fury. You've ruined us, he hissed. Do you even realize what you've done? Her voice broke into a sob. It was supposed to work, I thought. But her excuses were drowned out by the murmurs of the guests. Every pair of eyes was on her now. Judgment, shame, ridicule. The same relatives who once praised her were turning away in disgust. My mother, pale as a sheet, whispered, You're cut out. Completely. I nodded. Yes. And by the way, this whole conversation has been recorded, so if she tries anything else it'll go straight to the authorities. That was when my sister broke, her sobs echoing across the room, while her husband stormed out without another word. I hadn't just defended my husband's memory, I had stripped her of every weapon she thought she had. And this was just the beginning of her downfall. Chapter 5. The fallout. News of my sister's humiliation spread faster than I expected, relatives whispered. Friends she once flaunted began ghosting her calls. Even her husband, who stormed out the night of the party, didn't come home for 3 days. But the true fallout began when the family lawyer followed up. He confirmed in writing that her false claim had triggered the fraud clause in the will. Effective immediately, your sister's name is barred from entering or making any claim upon the estate, under penalty of prosecution, for attempted inheritance fraud. The letter wasn't private. Copies were mailed to both sides of the family. Overnight, her reputation shifted from successful, favored daughter to the one who tried to scam her own sister. Her friends. They cut her out of social circles. Invitations stopped arriving. One neighbor told me she'd overheard women at church whisper, That's the one who forged her dead brother-in-law's will. Her husband finally returned, but only to pack his bags. I didn't sign up to be married to a criminal, he spat before leaving for good. And then came the police. Because as promised, I had handed over the recording of her staged reveal at the party. Between the forged will, the bribery attempts, and the fraud clause in Dad's estate, the district attorney had more than enough to open an investigation. The same sister who once strutted with arrogance now sat in an interrogation room, begging for mercy. Meanwhile, I quietly poured myself a glass of wine in the home she'd tried to steal from me. My husband's photo sat on the mantel. For the first time in years, I felt peace. She had mocked me. She had underestimated me. Now she had lost everything, family, money, friends, and dignity. And me. I had my freedom, my home, and the satisfaction of knowing that sometimes revenge doesn't need fire or fury. Sometimes it just needs patience. And the truth. Epilogue. The last knock. 5 years passed. Life had become quiet, steady, even joyful. I had rebuilt my circle with people who truly valued me, while my sister had become nothing more than a whispered cautionary tale in the family. One rainy evening, there was a knock at my door. When I opened it, I almost didn't recognize her. Gone was the polished woman who once flaunted her wealth and power. In her place was someone hunched, gaunt, with tired eyes and trembling hands. She forced a smile. "Sister, please. I've lost everything. My husband's gone, my friends won't return my calls, and I'm drowning in debt. I just need a place to stay." For a moment, I looked at her. This was the same woman who slapped me with lies, who tried to steal the roof over my head, who mocked me in front of family while reaching for everything I had built. I stepped aside just enough to make her think I might let her in. Her eyes lit up with fragile hope. Then I handed her a single envelope. Inside was a copy of the original will, highlighted in Dad's handwriting. "To my daughter. I leave this home, this legacy, and my trust, because she has proven loyalty when others only showed greed." She read it, her face crumpling. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she whispered, "I made a mistake." I shook my head slowly. "No, you made your choice. And choices have consequences." Then I closed the door, not with anger, not with cruelty, but with the kind of finality that said you no longer exist in my world. Through the window, I saw her collapse on the porch, clutching the paper. But I didn't waver. I turned back to my quiet, peaceful home, the sound of rain washing away the last remnants of her shadow. Because the ultimate revenge wasn't her downfall. It was my freedom. Was this revenge perfectly justified? Or should the storm have raged harder? Drop your verdict below, I read every single one. Hit like if you crave justice, and share this story with someone who needs its fire.